So I was going to ask, and this is a real ABC7 local news question.
Please give it to us.
How do you guys memorize all those lines? Just kidding. But how do you find those stories? Are there certain websites you go to, or do you just go to local papers? Or because they take a big, ridiculous headline, and then you sort of are on that for an hour with a guest. And
it used to be that we would have to find them all, but now the Bananimals do it all for us.
Yeah.
They're just constantly sending us, and they are in parts of the internet that are dark. They are small little corners.
Right.
So we just get stuff sent to us, and we kind of have to we're looking at a ton of messages and stuff, but it's the best way to do it.
Crowdsourcing, I think they call it.
Crowdsourcing.
Rana, look at you.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. The only thing that worries me a little bit, and I don't know that it actually affects the kind of news you're reporting.
Right.
But all of this crazy sort of amalgamation of local papers, which is the
Sinclair thing?
Yes, which something that used to be, it's the, Boise Herald Tribune, which used to be a paper. And now all these guys have come and gobbled up all these different papers. And so what happened? I mean, it really, I think, affects more actually political coverage and that sort of thing, not these fabulous, bizarre stories that find their way to you.
They do go viral. We will get from our fans, they will send in stories, and we will go from that's a good one, and I'll save it. And then we'll get it from 20 different news sources from 100 different people. And it's just there is sort of a confluence where all these things come together, and everybody's like, this is wild. We're going to do this story. And it gets to the point where Kurt and I are overwhelmed by certain stories. It's usually 1 or 2 a week that we'll get from maybe 200 or 300 people.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Give us your top 2 favorite, most bizarre stories you've done. And then we have to move on because that's not what the show is about. We didn't bring you here to interview you and talk about your show. We brought you here because people need advice.
That's right.
We're going to give it to them.
I can't wait.
We'll give some bad advice. I loved a story early on where Chaley Rose was our guest, and it was about a woman that...
Chaley Rose?
Well, I wish. Chaley. She's a singer.
Oh my God. I know. I was like, Charlie Rose when? It's a complicated
I couldn't
guess.
believe he was doing press again.
Yeah. I saw him once, and he was in a convertible in Soho in Manhattan, and he just looked at me very angrily for some reason, and I kept walking.
It all seems true, just
but
based on that.
It does sound like when you say Chaley Rose, it sounds like when Rana says Charlie Rose. It sounds exactly like it.
Yeah, Chaley Rose.
Yeah.
But the story was a woman early in the pandemic washed her hands for, I think, 48 hours or 72 hours with a piece of cheese. She didn't realize that it wasn't soap. And there's just something so funny to me about somebody being like, we were all so stressed at the beginning of this about washing our hands and what, and she just grabbed this thing that was square and was like, this smells terrible. So that's America for you. Washing hands with cheese for 2 days.
Detail oriented and so wrong. Both those things.
I will say to her credit that the original soap was made of whale fat.
Rana.
There you go.
I will say
Thank you, Rana.
cheese is a fat, I'll just say.
Yep.
Yeah.
It could work.
I saw Fight Club.
I'm assuming it didn't lather, though. I am assuming it didn't lather.
No, but I'm assuming also
figured
that
it out.
after she washed her hands, they were covered in cheese, and she didn't realize that for a very long
She
time.
thought I could live with this pandemic for a while.
Yeah, then she ate her hands.
Cheesy paws, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, delicious cheesy paws.
Yeah, why not?
I think my favorite story was there is... the title was very outrageous. It was dolphin LSD sex experiment. NASA uses dolphin LSD sex experiments.
Yeah.
And so it sounds crazy.
Oh, no, that's for sure true.
And it is true. And I can't remember the names of the people, but there's actually an entire, I think, radio lab about it.
Yes.
It's a scientist was tasked by NASA to try and teach a dolphin to speak English. And the way they did that is by building her an apartment that was half flooded, and the dolphin lived with her, and she lived in a half flooded apartment.
What?
And then the dolphin fell in love with her, and she kind of fell in love with the dolphin.
Yes.
And it would it wouldn't concentrate to learn English, until she gave it a hand job like every single day. And then she could go back to like teaching this dolphin to try and say apple. And this had lasted for 2 fucking years until they were like, turns out dolphins don't speak English. And that was the end of the experiment.
But thank you.
My soul has left my body. That is the absolute number one craziest.
Mine left the building, no question.
And it's all
they
true.
Became lovers. They became
It's
lovers.
I mean, how much would someone have to pay to live with in a half-wet apartment with a dolphin for 2 years?
I actually don't think there's enough money.